All right, good afternoon. Welcome to our final presentation. Today's introducing sessions SCP, the Cyber Security. Our speaker is Yuri Luskind. He's the president and CEO of Zemfyre, a Canadian leader in industrial networking and cyber security sensors.
Thank you, Liz. Our Right. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So we will talk about SP and Cyber Security. This is little like abstract, and what would be the connection? One might ask, what would be the connection from physical layer standard, as SP is, to cybersecurity? That's what we're going to discuss today and show our solutions and our patent pending technologies that we're trying to address this issue as well. So, few words about Zemfyre. Well, at that we are a Canadian company. We have a tremendous technical background and great team of manufacturing and design, and we've been designing industrial communication products for a long time, and previous experiences in substation automations and company like RuggedCom, if you've heard about it, we talked with Siemens. So we really know how to design this type of systems. So talking about it in cybersecurity, the problem is right now that many people don't talk about this is that process sensors from cybersecurity standpoint right now considered 100%. Really, monitoring stops at RTU PLC level, and then everything that goes down, and you don't have visibility. And this has been a big issue. And security people, and a lot of these companies are software-based companies, they're doing IP security. They trying to avoid an issue with sensors because they don't know what to deal with, how to deal with them. You're talking about 420 milliamp loop. You're talking about serial connectivity. And basically the sensors are hidden, and that's a problem. So we can look at it, what's the problem? That's the problem. SP really lights up sensors. The really SP technology brings sense to the cybersecurity scope, and they can become part of the cybersecurity posture. It's for the first time. Connection between physical layer interface, really, because it's one of many you can consider, but that really, when we looked at SP, we started the company because we saw huge potential in the technology, not just because of physical layer, but what this technology enables. And you've heard during many presentations, it's enabling technology, and it is an enabling technology because it's created a huge market, really removing the last obstacle in adoption of data-driven technology, right? So right now you can bring all this data, and as we know, AI, cloud solutions, you need data, and thus SP is solving this problem, creating huge market, and that's just the beginning. Because what we do a lot of this connectivity, we're bringing data, but we haven't even started to seeing the potentials, what's going to happen. Even during this show, we had good discussion with some cloud guys, pure software and guys that really know only AWS. They are looking for someone who provides them data, right? They asking for data. So they understanding that. So here is what's the problem and what's the solution. So SP is a solution. A little bit on a high level diagram, what you can see here is SP is a technology that connects IT and OT networks. So you've been hearing that convergence. So that the big missed part of this convergence are field level devices. Now this architecture is very high level, but really any industrial control system will look similar. Or this is generic diagram. And you can see a lot of benefits when you have this homogeneous end-to-end Ethernet, so that all of the elements are fully connected, and that will be one network. And my favorite phrase, and I keep repeating it, is simple notion that Ethernet always wins. And I personally have a lot of history of designing some very promising technologies that's been killed by Ethernet. So now we will see how SPE will be killing. I wouldn't be talking about IO-Link or other technologies happening in factory automation, but in our view, from a company, it might take some time, but we see only one technology that will exist 10, 20 years from now. And that's how it will look like. So, talking about SPS enabling technology, with reference to cybersecurity as a topic. So you can see now that with this technology, you can use standard IP-based security that's been for a long time, and now you can apply it to sensors, actuators, or any field-level devices. So you can have port-based network security like 82.1x. You can have authentication. You can have zero trust network pure implementation on field level. That's the first time. Any sensor actuator now can have all these functions, which it means you can measure, you can authenticate, and of course, you can also, as I mentioned, do standard IP-based security. You can do VLANs, segmentation, and predictive maintenance, of course. With option to have this data available, you can secure sensors even more because you can look at the behavior of sensor with all this data. Like predictive maintenance will be one thing, or security on that level. If something changes, you will see much faster than what you have now on a kilobit level data versus 10 megabit directly connected to your internet network. And you can have like TLS, MACsec would be also quite useful for pure layer 2 and other things that been developed over the last 20, 30 years. You can apply now directly to sensors. Speaking about industrial security, we have to mention that the key security standard is IEC 62443. And that's key definitions or what the standard does in applying to industrial network industrial security. Zero trust architecture, as we discussed, so you can authenticate on the sensor level devices. Behavior detection, we mentioned. And that these are the parts of the security standard, but now all of this can be applied to the field level, right? For the first time. Now, we at Zemfyre, when we started the company, and we started again, not just because it's just another physical layer interface. As we started, we saw tremendous potential of this technology, but at the same time, we realized that some possible problem is that now the field level device has been invisible. That's bad, but now it's visible with all those great benefits. But with all these great benefits coming challenges, which means now they're all exposed. So you can have part of the security attack, but part of it can be breached as well because you have full connection to field level device. So what we expect that as technology grows and we start seeing real case implementations, many other companies will jump in to provide this additional security, especially as I mentioned, software companies, Nozomi, many Clarity, you name them, right? Lots of companies that deal with OT security. Now, this is our contribution. As we started the company, we immediately created this patent. It's a patent pending technology. We patented this in US and Europe. And so this is our which means we define, for the first time, we define new class of device. We call them secure unmanaged switch. It sounds a bit strange because if it's unmanaged, how it can be secure? So what we did is we put little brain in our unmanaged switch, which you can see in our book. And with this little brain through NFT, you can, from security standpoint, you can lock all unused ports, so no one can just pass your net, pass your floor, and connect to unmanaged switch because it will not be working, and also will give you alarm to your control room. to a CM system or HMI. And also, if you connected sensors to the switch, which is the first port of connectivity to your network, right? It's the first exposure. We can lock MAC addresses of the sensors to specific ports. So if you change it, there will be alarm. You configure it, all of this. And by the way, part of configuration, it also will help with installation. Because now, think about this. You have 1 kilometer away from your, and you have here in this switch, let's say 4 of those. Through NFC app, you can see quality of your channel. With TDR, you can see if there's any potential break in your cable, right? What if I'm an installer? So I'm doing all that. I configured my floor, I connected, and then through NFC app, I'm doing lock. Lock means all unused ports not possible to connect. And as I mentioned, MAC addresses will be linked to specific ports. So effectively, as we call it, we're turning this unmanaged switch to what we call it smart patch panel. It's like a piece of plastic that you can use as a patch panel with little brain, which is a piece of plastic as a patch panel, bringing your sensors, but at the same time, this device will send upstream all the information, diagnostics, alarms, cease clocks, everything. And you can even potentially implement other functions. We can do like light managed layer 2 if needed, or something like that. But basically, right now, it's going to be not manageable from a network, doesn't have TCP/IP stack, and still providing all this functionality and be secure. That's our contribution. We think it's very neat. Like no one thought about this. We haven't sold it yet, but everyone likes it. So our challenge will be how we do a recurring revenue, which is the dream of every sales guy. So that's our plan. And that's briefly, I will go through what we have. We have all the building blocks for T1L for long reach STE. So we have switches, control power data line controllers, camera. We introduced the first time in the show, and you can see all in our booth for next another 2 hours before show closes. But it's all available. And by the way, this NFC app, Alex, our CTO, he's sitting here, so he can show you on his phone how it actually works. Okay. And this is, we call it Zemlo. We're also trademarked. So we're spending money on it, right? So we're a startup and we believe in this, which means we committed. Okay. And this is, I would say, we're zooming in to the industrial control network I showed before. So it's really the part, okay, how it will look like using our devices. So you see sensors, camera, media converter. With this, you can break like standard PoE camera. And all this connected to switch with power portal controller to connect to your LAN. Okay. So that is how our product line will look like in the network diagram. And very briefly to some of the devices we have. So we have a switch with Poodle controller 400. You can use it with controller to be fully compliant with those CG, or you can use engineering power, which is what we see quite required in building automation, because they don't really need power or data line, but they really power, like 24-volt, and we can just inject power in our switch, so on, without a Poodle controller. These are end devices, camera and media converter, which you can extend on 1 kilometer, and the first in the market camera that you can get data and power, video stream with and power the device, and media converter that you can take any $20 PoE camera and extend it to 1 kilometer using this device. So you get 1 kilometer SP, and then RJ45, it also has 4-wire Ethernet with PoE, and you can just use existing PoE camera and extend it. Very small device. And by the way, all of these devices have CE mark, so also highlights our commitments because it's not very cheap. And we have it. And that's a new product that we're introducing now. It's a sensor, and you have a screen. It's an environmental sensor with 8 parameters that we can monitor. Also, SP power and data. So you just need one connector, and it can be this dash one, can be terminal block, whatever might end customer need. And this summary of back to security part is that SP is an enabling technology, first time bringing all the field level devices to the security posture of any industrial control system, which is a big deal. And that's just cybersecurity because it's a part of our talk, but really it applies to everything, right? On a higher level, the first time everyone will get full data. And as we know, Industry 4.0, that is a buzzword that everyone talks about, but not looking at specific details, what it means. From our standpoint, it means very simply is data. So well, that's what's missing because it's a data-driven technology, Industry 4.0, and without SPE, you won't have it. And that's goes beyond security specifically, but showing that how those great technology is an enabling technology, and that's we all here excited about it. It's still early market somewhat, but we absolutely convinced that in 10, 20 years, and we hope it will ramp up quickly, that everything will be just internet. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
I've been for the whole since 3, but I feel to SE, right? And I feel often, combine since for between yes. We brush his correlation is something that is already defined SE or something that you're hoping you were responsive certainly.
Thanks. Great question. Yes. The reason we started the company and the reason we even created this secure and managed switch as a first introduction to a first solution to increase cybersecurity, right? Because 62443 is a layered approach. It's like onion, right? You add this, it's never 100%, but you add these pieces. So we added our piece, right? Because we have experience in security for like substation automation and energy systems, right? So that's why when I see this technology, we looked at not just how to connect, because okay, so it's connectivity, but what else you can do with that, and linking it to cybersecurity and 62443. And really, the key question again: sensors currently are not considered 100% trusted from any cybersecurity solution guys, which is a little bit insane. You have a network that you invested millions and millions to get it secure, but your data is if your sensor is compromised, how good it is, right? And no one kind of talks about it. So that's why we're trying to make aware of people, and it's just not for any type of. We're talking about industrial, we're talking about building automation, even substation. So that's if it answers your question. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.